Yes, I know the video says the successor to Fallout. Speaking of Fallout, we're running Fallout Equestria on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. It's a really big game. There's a lot of people that show up. And you get to find out if Chifundo, i.e. Chifflepuff, died. In addition to this, on Tuesday night, i.e. tomorrow, 2 days from now, we're running Redhurst, Academy of Wizards. Well, if you want to know where hashtag Who's the Dummy Now came from, you should show up. You can watch these episodes on YouTube on Tuesday and Wednesdays in order to catch up with what's happened, and I'll see you guys there. Lastly, Patreon. Seriously, that's how these videos get made. Every dollar helps. Please. If you can spare a buck, $1 a month, please. That's all I ask. Now, on to the video. Hello, everybody. So, what is Atom RPG? Imagine, if you will, if you took an organization such as Stapletech, Fallout, as in the entire setting, and made it Russian. Very, very Russian. Like super, amazingly ultimate Russian. You effectively are playing in the Russian version of a Fallout Wasteland. The lore I can gather, I don't know if this is entirely accurate or not, so keep it with that caveat, is that in 1986 World War III broke out in February. In March 1986, Chernobyl melted down. The Soviet Union thought the United States had launched a nuclear attack. Result, they launched their missiles. By the time anybody knew what was actually going on, all the missiles were in flight and it didn't matter if you were innocent or guilty, everyone was gonna die. You are a member of an organization called Atom, whose sole purpose it is to rebuild the world back to the prosperity that you had before the bombs fell. Or at least that's their stated purpose. What their actual purpose is, I haven't even managed to uncover so far, but I can tell you for a fact that that stated purpose is a lie to keep everyone in line. This world, compared to Fallout, is just as unforgiving, lethal, and destructive to you as Fallout 1 or 2, or as Baldur's Gate or Pillars of Eternity Deadfire on max difficulty. There's no difficulty setting, by the way. It's always on the Wasteland wants to murderate you. I'm kidding, there's actually a difficulty slider. Normal difficulty is the Wasteland wants to murderate you. Hard difficulty is you're going to die. And survival difficulty is, oh, strap yourself in. You're not going to last long unless you know exactly what you're doing. How does the game system compare to the original Fallout 1 and 2 system? Well, I mean, hold that thought. Something seems awfully familiar here. What if I just change the names? And move it around a little. I see what you did there. You're a special case, aren't you? Yep, it's the exact same system. Verbatim. Literally. Not that that's a bad thing. They actually kind of improved on it a little bit, but the fact of the matter is, you sneaky Russians. You just copied the original Fallout 2 special system and then improved on it. I like you. Good job. So, yeah, slap the like button, please. I'm trying for 30 likes this time. 40 if we can make it. But, also, in the comments, I've been given a cowbell. Like an actual cowbell. Picture on screen right now. What the hell do I do with this thing? Seriously, let me know. Anyway, back to the review. Mechanically, some of the things that set it apart, however, from Fallout is improvements on the system. For a start, there's an actual grid that shows you where everything is. Yes, you still have an AP system. Yes, it's based on agility. I have some complaints about the system, one of which being that it's nearly impossible to actually increase your basic stats that control a lot of what you get and go through in the game once you start the game. It seems incredibly well done, but not so well done if you plan on playing a character past like level 10. Which, by the way, I mean, technically if you just go through the main quest, you can finish the game by level 7 or 8. But why would you do that when there's this massive world to explore? I mean, massive, oversized world to explore. And there's all sorts of things that you can discover. I mean, we've had a random encounter where we found a cave where a guy thought the stars were going out, and you literally just read this existential, eldritch, horror-style journal. It would be one thing if it was like 3 pages. This was a 26-page journal. Or 18. I've read so many of these journals, I forgot how many pages some of them are. But it's just page after page after page of this guy slowly going insane. And you're gripped by it. The writing is that good. You genuinely believe, one, you're in Russia. The voice actors do a decent job, too, of portraying you being in Russia. The quests are very Russian-like. Go risk your life for some mushrooms because I need to make booze. This seems like something straight out of Russia. But I genuinely just enjoyed it. And the random events are damn lethal. Like, you would say there's no balance, but then I look up and go, no, this is actually how the original Fallout 1 and 2 played. You could start the game, start and move out from your initial location, run into a random event, and that was the end of your game. Because that random event would be lethal enough to just murderate you. The Wasteland doesn't care. And the game does a great job of portraying the Wasteland doesn't care. I am genuinely enthralled and surprised by that. When you start looking at mechanics such as poison, health, and radiation, radiation is a sudden and silent killer. You don't have, unless you have found the Geiger counter, Adam, you don't have a way of knowing if you're receiving radiation until you open your inventory or your character goes, I feel sick. I've run into 2 really bad radiation hotspots and didn't realize I was taking radiation until my character went, I feel sick, and then I went, that's not good. It's little subtle hints like that, like the old Fallout games, where you didn't actually know what was wrong until your character gave those little subtle hints of I feel sick, or I feel like my veins are on fire, indicating you've been poisoned or you're having radiation trouble. Now you can open your inventory, but the game doesn't pause while the inventory's open. The game's still playing. So if you open your inventory and your radiation's going up, you need to close your inventory really freaking quick and get out of there. There are robots that are... This is the thing, though, that gets me. It has this beautiful mix of Fallout-style wasteland creatures, like mutated insects and the bear gorilla. I never want to run into that thing again. It's like their own version of a death claw, except for instead of claws, it beats you down with big, meaty fists. Ugh. And just humans are the primary enemy. And it has a very realistic weapon set of Russian-oriented weapons. So you start out and you get like an old Technicolor revolver or a frickin' potato gun with gunpowder called a zip gun. And then you find a Makarov pistol and you're like, oh, this is a nice upgrade. It wasn't until I actually got the submachine gun that I was like, oh, now we're cooking with gas. And that was 8.5 hours in before I got that weapon. You are going to be pressed hard to figure out how to survive with little to nothing constantly. And to me, that's what makes this a true successor to Fallout. I'm sad to say that between Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, Bethesda has really, really fallen short. You all know why. I mean, I've gone over this 100 times. But this feels like I'm playing Fallout 2 with updated graphics, updated user interface, and just a better system of combat that's more fluid and much more understandable. I don't have to guess if I'm close enough to move up and melee something. I can see the squares on the grid displayed. I don't have to try to fish out if I've got any bullets left. It tells me. But at the same time, I still have to strategize. I still have to determine how am I going to take 5 guys charging me with baseball bats when I can only really gun down 1 or 2 at a time. And then it has an air of mystery constantly. You get a quest, and none of the quests are just straightforward. No decision you can possibly make is a simple yes or no. And there's no morality system telling you if you're doing good or bad. I miss the karma system, but I'm kind of okay with making it understandable that my morals and ethics are up to what I make them. There's a decision very early on in the game that you have to make where someone hands you a gun and there's a man tied up and gagged and they say, do what you will. Just to see if you have guts or not. You can elect to point the gun at the jailkeeper, you can point the gun at the guy's head and pull the trigger, or you can beat him down with the gun until they make you stop. You know that this guy is the mechanic from the first village you came across. You know he actually doesn't have the money that he's been bragging about having. But you also know you have to infiltrate this criminal organization which has people with much better gear than you and much higher levels. And if you don't go through with some action here or you betray them, it's very unlikely you'll be able to fight your way out or that you'll still get in on the organization. And whatever decision you end up making radically changes your quest options. If you decide to go with shooting him, you're given a different quest. If you decide to go with beating him down, you're given a different quest. And if you decide to point the gun at the jailer and try to rescue him right then and there, you're given a different quest. You're now on a different quest path. Now there is the option later to still rescue him if you elect to just beat him down and then pay for him to have a bail. But that's just one little microcosm in this game. Every quest you go on, none of them are straightforward. None of them are direct and easy to understand and just have a simple, this is how it works. And none of them are simple yes or no answers. Even the main quest you're on continues to drag you around with several mysteries that you can't truly solve without delving deeper into the rabbit's hole. That is what truly makes this a successor to Fallout. The idea that no quest is a simple, straightforward, go in, do the thing, and leave. The idea that no quest doesn't have its twists and turns, and the idea that every single quest you embark on in this game distinctly has the possibility of having more than one outcome. And lastly, the level of moral ambiguity that you have to live with some of the decisions you have to take. There's a quest where you're asked to take a traitor who's been relaying information to the bandits outside the village and shoot him. You distinctly have the option of just making him run away. Or, if you're like me, dude's been betraying the village the whole time to get extra pay from a bunch of assholes who've been robbing the place. I'm putting 3 rounds in the back of his head. You're left with a sense that the land will never heal and will always be dying. Every farm you visit is just uniquely weird. And then what makes things uniquely Russian and uniquely Fallout, you find an airplane, a crashed airplane that's been turned into a circus guarded by clowns with assault rifles. And in that circus, they send you north on a quest to to remove a bunch of rats, and there's 10 rats. That's a lot of rats. They could easily swarm and maul you to death. And the biggest part of this is the fact that there's an actual sentient rat the size of a person that needs to eat people's brains in order to stay sentient. Bitch, please. Oh, shit!
What?
A huge rat sniffs and looks around with bloodshot eyes. If you are prepared to attack it, but suddenly it speaks. Two-leg brothers and kill brothers and sisters. Two-leg will now pay with great thing in her skull. The rat concentration has used for tongue in its mouth. When I eat gray stuff from skulls, I know things from them. Things the two legs knew. I get their thinkering inside me. But, oh my god, it's a fucking Skaven! All at a crashed airplane. This game is truly fun. It's quirky, and the writers have a distinctive sense of how to put play on pop culture, as well as how to make it feel distinctly still like you're in Russia. Armor in this game is incredibly useful, but at the same time, somebody pointing an assault rifle at you and just holding the trigger down is still going to kill you. I look forward to what else the developers have in store, as they have just recently released version 1.1, the City of the Dead update, releasing an area known as Pripyat to the Russian post-apocalyptic wasteland. And they've stated they have another thing they're working on as a standalone add-on referred to as Trudograd. I don't know what that's going to be, but we'll see. In the meantime, this has been Fiaura the Tank Girl. And currently available on Steam right now, Atom RPG is discounted 25% for $11.24. Base price is $15. And it's one of the most fascinating, wonderful pieces of post-apocalypse I've quite frankly ever played. And it truly reminds me of Fallout 2. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Last video, we got 30 likes. I want to see if we can get 40. Come on. Seriously, guys. 40. Let's do this. And let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be streaming Atom RPG later this week. And again, I'll see you guys on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for tabletop gaming. Tuesday, Redhurst, Academy of Wizards. Find out why Who's the Dummy Now is a thing. And lastly, will Chifflepuff survive? All that to be resolved this week. See you guys then. Good night, everybody.